Okay, we are live. We are live. And look, it's just me. I'm all alone today. So, welcome to the Flixters. It's just me. Teacher is away, busy with the family. It's not even going to be a brother overload. Emmanuel's not available today. So I thought, you know what? I'll just do a quick little review of a film that you've probably all seen by now called 28 Years Later. Today you're going to get a quick little review of that, just a few minutes, just to keep you sort of tied over till next week when I think we've got Emmanuel back. So today, like I said, I'm going to do a quick review on 28 Years Later. I'll just sort of go over the plot, go over what happened in the film, any little sort of mini sort of Easter eggs and things like that. And let us know what you think. Have you seen it? Are you not going to watch it? Have you seen 28 Days Later? Have you seen 28 Weeks Later? Are you bothered about 28 years later? I don't know. Let us know. But yeah, if this is your first time, welcome to the Flixters. Like I said, usually there's more of us here, just me today. What you can do for us is go over and like us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, or not Twitter, X, TikTok, and where else? Yeah, everywhere. Just go and give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what you're watching, what you like, what you don't like, and if you want to come on the show, also let us know as well, because we will love to have you on the show. So today I'll quickly go into 28 years later. So the first one, 28 Days Later, came out in 2002. So yeah, say that out loud, 2002. So that was before iPhones, that was a long time ago, before Instagram, before Facebook, before a lot of things, 2002. So a long time ago. Danny Boyle, director, and Alex Garland, writer. And yeah, it was a good film. Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris. Good film. It actually introduced zombies. Well, we thought they were zombies, but they're actually infected. But it introduced them as a different type of enemy because they could run. And normally, before then, we only saw zombies walking slowly. So you kind of could get away from them. But in 28 Days Later, they were running. So that was a massive shock. So that was a really successful film, low budget, done really well in the cinema. And then we had 28 Weeks Later, which came out in 2007, so 5 years later. And that one starred Imogen Poots, I think her name is, Jeremy Renner, Idris Elba was in that as well. He was like the sort of colonel of the American army. And that one, that was a bit of a different film. Let me go back actually to 28 Days Later. So that one, obviously, it was in London. It started off with a virus breaking out. The virus is actually designed and created in a lab by people that were trying to cure rage. So they tried to create some sort of, I guess, vaccine for rage in people, like to stop people from getting angry. They called it rage or anti-rage or whatever it was called. And they had infected monkeys. Something went wrong. People got infected, and it actually made people go crazy. So that's what the rage infection is. People go crazy. They'll eat you. They'll kill you. Whatever. They're just crazy. So that was the first inception of it. 28 weeks later, I think they've said that in London is kind of okay because all the people that were infected, all the rage people, kind of died out because they died from starvation. There was no one else to kill and eat. So they kind of died out. And then the American army came in to try and contain things and, restart things again. So that's where you get all these people coming back into London and the army trying to sort of, manage it and all that sort of thing. So it kind of worked for a little while. And then obviously what we saw is it didn't work because Robert Carlyle, who left his wife in that house, he got infected by the wife who came back. It turns out that she had some sort of immunity to the infection. So, yeah, that was a bit of a mad one. So now we have 28 years later. So 28 years later sort of kicks off 28 years later from the first film. So I guess timeline-wise, we must be in 2030. Because 2002, 28 years later, it must be 2030. So it's even 5 years in the future from where we are today. So in this film, So the main stars are what's his name again? Aaron Taylor Johnson, who we saw in Kick-Ass. You know, really good actor. Has really done well over the years, matured, and you know, he's good actor. So Aaron Taylor Johnson. We've got Jodie Comer, who we saw in Killing Eve, like really versatile, great actress, both on film and on stage. Ralph Fiennes, who we saw most recently in Conclave. Yeah, Conclave, really good actor. Obviously, been around for ages. You know, he knows his stuff. And we've got a young actor called Alfie Williams, who is really good. He plays Spike, who's the son of uh, Aaron Taylor Johnson. So those are the sort of main players, if you can say, in this film. So, like I said, the film sort of kicks off 28 years later from 2002, and we see that Aaron Taylor Johnson and his son are from an island up north. So again, we're in the UK, so northeast near Newcastle, and they come from, or they live in a island which is separate from the mainland. It's only separated from the mainland by this long stretch of, I want to say, a path, some sort of path that is only accessible during low tide. So when it's high tide, you cannot walk this path. And when it's, yeah, so they can, so when, okay, I think mainly they stay on the island, but they go back to the mainland to hunt and gather stuff now and again. So there's a short window in which they can go and do that. And when they go and do that, they go with their bow and arrows, they're armed, because it's dangerous on the mainland. On the mainland, that's where the infected are. On the island, they're safe. They've got their community. The community are kind of like stuck in time a little bit. So they've obviously, you know, stayed away, safe. They know how dangerous it is. They're really guarded. They've got these big sort of doors and lookouts, a bit like the Watch, you know, in Game of Thrones. And yeah, they're really protective over over what they've got and what they've built over the 28 years. So it's understandable. And Aaron Taylor Johnson takes his boy out, who's 12 years old, and wants him to go and be a man. So that's a bit of his rite of passage. He goes out to teach him how to hunt, while his mum, Jodie Comer, is in bed. She's got a sickness. She's kind of like losing her mind. That's the way it comes across. So that's what happens at the start. They go into the mainland, and the boy gets to hunt, and you get to see what's happening and how things have developed over the 28 years. You see that some of the infected are a bit different. We first see some of these sort of they look like slugs. This is put it that way. They're fat. I don't know how they're fat if there's not much food, but there's some fat infected, and they're kind of on the floor, just like crouching, and like, yeah, just crawling on the floor. They can't. Well, they can stand on their feet, but they're not really quick. They've adapted to really move slow and conserve energy. I think that's what's happened over the 28 years, because there's not much food around, so they're eating slugs and they're eating worms and stuff like that. So he gets to kill a couple of these, and you know, build confidence. The dad really forces him to, because the boy doesn't really feel comfortable killing anything with his bow and arrow. So you know, but he's got to survive. So this is what we see, and they sort of go through. You know, they see some other things, and I think this film also has got a few. There's a few things that stick out to me. Firstly, I'll say there's a few religious kind of themes in the film, because even when it opens out with a scene from 2002 where a young boy is sort of, his household is ravaged by infected, and he runs into a church where his dad is the priest, and his dad is sort of accepted what's going on, and he said, yeah, this is revelation, you know, come and take us, sort of thing. The dad isn't even helping the boy. We don't know who this boy is, by the way. It's not anyone that, you know, we're going to see later on. So there's the sort of themes of church and religion come into it, and even these slow infected that we're seeing on the mainland, I don't know, like, you know, sloth. I mean, I saw it, I just thought of sloth. It's one of the sort of 7 deadly sins, isn't it? And I think it is anyway. But yeah, they just seemed to embody sloth, just the way they were just nasty and slow and just eating off the floor and all that. It was a bit mad. So so we see that, and then bit by bit they get into the main line. They're looking around and stuff, and things get a bit out of control, because then they see the runners, the infected that can run, and they think, oh shit. So the dad and the boy run into a house, and these infected now, there's a bunch of infected, that are running around, but then there's always one alpha. And when I say alpha, this alpha is like a big version of the infected, got a bit more intelligence. He's the leader of the pack. So he kind of orders, doesn't speak, he just sort of shouts, but what he says makes them react. So he'll either say something and they'll stop or they'll run. So they all run to their house, and the son and Aaron Taylor Johnson have to protect themselves, kill a few of them, and wait it out until it's overnight, until they can sort of come back and try and get back to their home. So we get to see that the infected have changed over 28 years. Everything changes, isn't it? Things evolve. So we're seeing that the infected are changing a little bit. So that's kind of the main sort of start of the film. Then the sort of the midsection of the film, we find out that the boy and the dad have got a bit of friction, because obviously the dad's trying to make the boy into a man, but the boy also cares for his mum. The mum's in bed and he doesn't really like the way the dad's treating the mum. We find out the mum's really, really sick, and the boy wants to go and try and help her. So he crazily finds his way to get his mum and himself off the island, because he hears that there's a doctor that is on the mainland who's a bit of a nutter, but he's an actual doctor. So he thinks, oh, this doctor can save my mum. So, like, obviously you got to watch the film to see how he does it, but he gets his mum and himself off the island into the mainland, and because obviously he's been through some training, so he feels like he's a bit of a man. He's going to protect his mum, so he does that, and then they go into the island, and you think, shit, they're not going to survive, but bit by bit they kind of survive. The mum is, if you see, she's, I feel sorry for her. She's really kind of sick. Her mind and her body is just deteriorating, like, and she has these nosebleeds as well. So something's really wrong with her. The boy tries to protect her, and sometimes she protects him. And they have to come across infected, and he has to deal with it. Then they come across a situation where they're going to die. And this random soldier who's been on the mainland for a while comes and helps them. I think he says he's from Sweden. And he's one of the patrol boats that patrol the UK, because all of Europe want nothing to do with the UK. The UK is seen as written off. So patrol boats from different countries around Europe patrol the UK to make sure no one leaves the UK, because they think if anyone gets off the UK, they're infected and they're going to infect the rest of mainland Europe. So one of these soldiers somehow gets lost. Something happens to their boat. They get stranded on the mainland. There's like 10 of them. They all die. One of them's left, and he's the one that they bump into. His name's Eric. He's Swedish, and he's got a phone. And they're like, the boy's like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, it's a mobile phone." He shows them pictures on the phone. And there's a few funny moments because the boy's only 12 years old, so he was born into this like end of world situation. He hasn't seen a mobile phone. He hasn't spoken to anyone that is, like, up to date. So some of the things he says, he's like, what are you talking about? So it's a bit of, it's a bit funny when you see how they interact. But I'm not going to spoil what happens with Eric, but things happen with Eric. He does try to protect them, but they come across another alpha. And this alpha it's a serious alpha. And in amongst when they're running away from this alpha, they come across an infected woman who is pregnant. And long story short, the mum, and this sounds crazy, but the mum helps to deliver this infected woman's child. But the child comes out not infected, which you think, how did that happen? But you'll get the little explainer afterwards, but it happens. They run off and they bump into the doctor, Ralph Fiennes, who stops the alpha from killing them. And he uses, what does he say he uses? Morphine. Yeah, so he sort of shoots morphine into the alpha a few times, and the alpha sort of stops, sort of like dreamy. And Ralph Fiennes says, first of all, when you see Ralph Fiennes, he's proper like, he looks like Tarzan, but an old version. He's all half naked. He's got iodine all on his body, because he says iodine helps to keep them away. doesn't really work. But anyway, and then he calls this Alpha Samson, which again from the Bible, isn't it? So another sort of look at all these little biblical themes, and also there's a bit where the boy Eric and the mum are on the field and they're talking and stuff, and they're eating, and he pulls out all these apples again, like apples, the Garden of Eden, isn't it? It's like, and something happens actually after they eat the apples. So I'm not going to say, but it's consequence, isn't it? So again, another little theme. But so long story short is the doctor then takes them, the boy and the mum, to his bone temple, and this is actually the name of the next film that's going to come out. So there's another film called The Bone Temple that's already been filmed, that's going to come out in January 2026. So in 6-7 months time, and that's where Ralph Fiennes is. That's where he's held up. That's where he lives. And basically, what he's been doing all this time for years, he's been honoring the dead by building some sort of temple of their bones and their skull. So again, another link. So we saw Ralph Fiennes play Hades, isn't it, in Clash of the Titans, and now we see him again as almost some sort of death god, if I could say, or figure. So again, another little link to sort of religious type beliefs and so on. So we see the relationship, and we see that the boys brought the mum to Ralph Fiennes, and he's basically sort of, he's a doctor. He is a doctor, so he knows a bit about what he's talking about. He sort of checks the mum over and sees the mum is really actually sick, and she does actually have cancer. So he tells the boy, your mum's got cancer. He tells the mum she's got cancer, and they ask how long she got, and he says not long. So then you kind of see I'm not going to spoil what happens, but something happens. You can imagine that where they are, my man worships death, so you can guess what happens, innit? But so I guess that's sort of the main thing that happens in the film. That's the sort of main journey that the boy's on. He's on a journey of being a man. But being a man isn't just about punching and fighting. It's about taking care of the people that you love and your family. So I think he becomes more of a man from taking care of his mum on that journey than he did just killing the infected. But obviously both work hand in hand, because he learnt the skills with his dad that he applied when he was with his mum. So it's interesting to see the boy's journey, and then see what happens. All this time that he was off on the island with the mum, the dad wasn't around. He actually, it's a bit weird, but the dad was nowhere to be seen. But it's an interesting. I mean, the film. First of all, some of the technicalities of the film. A lot of it was filmed with an iPhone. Believe it or not, Danny Boyle wanted a bit of a. He called it a poor man's bullet time. So there's a few scenes where you get to see like the infected running from their point of view, and also the people running from their point of view, and the camera does all this stuff, and you realize that Danny Boyle filmed part of the film with iPhones. He put them on a rig, so they go in like a big semicircle. iPhone 15 Pro Max, and they filmed it on 4K, 60 frames per second. So with iPhones these days, you can do a lot. Obviously, there's things you can do in post in editing, but still, the iPhones were used for a lot of the film in this. He wanted to give it that old school feel and look without compromising on the quality as well. So he said you're able to take the phones and put them in certain positions and do certain things with them. So they were very, very creative in how they made this film. So I think some people will either appreciate it or think, what am I looking at? But either way, I think the film is interesting. It's definitely worth a look, because each film is different. 28 Days is different. It's very like it's just happened, pretty much. London's derelict. People still don't know what's going on. We're finding out, there's not a lot of people around. 28 weeks later is we know what happened. We're trying to deal with it, contain it, and move on. 28 years later is shit happened time ago. This is our life now going forward. We need to now, this is our new life in the UK. In a way, the UK is stuck in time. If you're in the UK, in this world, your future's different. no tech, no TVs. Even in this society that they all have defined roles. You got your farmers, you got your hunters, you got your clove makers, you got your like medical people. You got your like. There's everyone's got a role in society. You need to fit in somewhere. So, just like how it was back in the day, isn't it? Old school. So yeah, so that was 28 weeks later. Is there anything I'm missing? Nothing really. I think it's worth a watch. It is worth a watch. It's like about 2 hours, I think it is, or just under 2 hours. How long is it? Yeah, just under 2 hours. Yeah, it's definitely got some of the same signatures, not the same music, which I found a bit interesting. The first two, there was similar music. This one doesn't have it. It's quite different. The soundtrack is it's very in your face, especially from the beginning. The soundtrack and there's a poem from someone. There's some old school person uh, reciting a poem called Boots by Rudyard Kipling. It's like from 1915, and it was a poem that was there to sort of motivate troops back in the day in the war, and to motivate them and to sort of be there to inspire them and to keep them going really. And this is something you hear at the start of the film when the boy and I keep calling him the boy, Spike, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's character are sort of beginning their journey. So there's a lot going on, not just visually but on the audio side as well, which is the character in itself. So yeah, interesting film. I think that's where I'm going to leave the review. Like I said, the Bone Temple, which is the second part of the film, which I understand there might be another part after that as well, possibly. This here, 28 years later, could be part of a trilogy, possibly. And I hear Cillian Murphy and Naomi Harris could be coming back in either the Bone Temple or the film afterwards. I will say towards the end of the film, there is a bit of not a post-credit scene, but there's a bit at the end of the film that feels like a post-credit scene, but it definitely leads onto the next film. So you see what's going to happen. There's some new characters introduced. When I say new characters, they're new characters, but there's a face you're going to remember, especially with a recent horror film that done really well. So yeah, I think the next film is going to be different again. So yeah, see what happens with that. But I'll probably give this a 7 out of 10. It was good, not great, not shit, but it was better than average, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I'll say yeah, go give that a watch. Let us know what you think. I think next week we may have Megan. I want to say Megan 2.0, possibly. So that's it for today, really. So yeah, like I say, like us, share, interact, comment. If you want to come on the show, let us know as well. We've got time for you to come on the show and let us know what you think and chat. And yeah, until then, we'll see you next week. Peace out.